Hello students, welcome to the English class. Students, today in the class I am going to provide you with a PPT presentation on the story Should Wizard Hit Mommy. In my last class I have already provided you with two videos giving a brief description of the story. From today onwards I am going to start my own explanation of the story Should Wizard Hit Mommy by John Updike. In this PPT, we are going to read about the author. We will see the background of the story. We will also see the moral issues raised in the story, the theme of the story, whether the title is justified, and then we will go through the difficult word meanings given in the story. The author, John Updike. John Updike was born in the year 1932 and died in 2009. He was an American novelist, poet, short story writer, art critic, and literary critic. He won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction twice. His fiction is distinguished by its attention to the concerns, passions, and suffering of average Americans. In fact, John Updike was considered as the celebrity American writer. Should Wizard Hit Mommy is a children's story dealing with the serious theme of good parenting and the adult tendency to curb the curious and questioning mind of a child. As you can see, the story was written in 1950, during the ending of the Second World War, and it was published in 1959, The main protagonist of the story, Jack, the father of 4-year-old Joan, often shortened in the story as Joe, tries to teach her moral values through her stories. Every story is a slight variation of the same story. Joan, being very young, fails to realize the true worth of originality. Jack tries hard to convince her that one should not change one's identity or personality just to get accepted by society. The story poses several themes and moral questions, and we will be dealing with each and everything individually. Now, the story had raised various moral issues. The moral issues that the story raises is whether parents are the best judge of what is good for their child or not. A sharp contrast is displayed in the story about the child's viewpoint and an adult's perspective of life. In the story, the child Joe felt that the happiness of being able to make friends is more than anything else, and so she wanted the story to end with Roger Skunk smelling of roses. On the other hand, her father ended the story by saying that the mother was right in getting Roger's smell back to its original state, implying to his daughter that parents know what is best for their children. He also advocates that children should respect their parents' opinions and obey them unquestioningly. Jack also narrated that all the other animals finally accepted Roger, as he was emphasizing the importance of a person's originality and individuality. Well, what here we find in this story is adults' perspective on life is quite different from that of a child. It is obvious to find a marked difference in an adult's perspective on life, because child is considered as a form of God, as its heart is very pure and innocent. It doesn't know what is wrong or what is right. There is no bad intention in the child's mind behind doing any deed. It just does it because its perspective on life, its actions and reactions are natural and not guided by any past experiences. A child speaks from the heart what seems to be ethically and morally correct. In the case of an adult, its perspective is based on what it has learned over the years. The expectations of society and similar other experiences. It also knows the worth of originality, so it thinks according to the situation and takes a good decision on the basis of what is right or what is wrong. Now, One of the major themes in the story deals with the question of authority and parenting. Okay, that whether, whatever, in whichever manner parents they authorize, okay, a child, whether that is the correct manner or not, whether that should be applied in the case of all the parent. Okay, so parenting is the main theme, okay, where we find that parents should be authorizing the children, that parents should be deciding that what is good and what is bad for the children. Okay, so whether this should be the main thing in while parenting a child. Okay, so this is what the story is about. That is, adults they think in a different manner, and children they think in different manner. Whereas we find that in the story, Jack, he ends the stories by saying that mother is right, okay, and implies to the daughter that parents knows what is best for their children. Okay, so he advocates that children should respect their parents' opinion and obey them unquestioningly. Now, whether this should be applied, whether this should be the unconditional, what we can say, the unconditional code that each parent and each children should follow, that is what the story is about. The story is completely an open-ended story, where the reader have to decide that whether it is the parent is right or the child is right, whether Jack is correct or Joe is correct, in which manner we are going to follow the parenting attitude. Another main theme of the story is, of course, male egoism. Okay, as we will be reading with the explanation of the story, we will find that male egoism is also there in the story. Whether patriarchal society is best society, whether in a society a father's decision, a husband's decision should be the last thing, that also we are going to see. So it is not only a one-sided theme story. There are various streams of themes, various threads of themes being stitched together in this story. So we are going to deal with each and everything. In this PPT presentation, I have dealt with only one particular theme, but in my next video lecture and in my next PPT presentation, I am going to provide you with all those various streams of themes that has been used in this story. Now, regarding the title, whether the title is justified, should wizard hit mommy? Okay, should the children's attitude towards life, that should be given importance or not? Okay, it is interesting to contrast the two endings of Roger Skunk's story. Jack's ending of the story is quite mature and practical. Okay, Joe wanted the story to end happily. So whether the wizard should hit, where Jack says that yes, mother is correct, the mother hit the wizard and that is the final thing, but Joe says no, the wizard should hit back the mother. Okay, now this is the question that is being raised in the story, because the title of the story is itself a question mark. Should wizard hit mommy? Should children perspective be given importance to? That is what the story is about, right? So how the story should be dealt with, how children and parents life should be judged with. Okay, the realities that one had to go through in life. The world is based on individual differences. Every species of animal has its distinct features, which must be respected and accepted in totality. Okay, so moreover, parents know what is best for their children and their decision should be respected and obeyed. Right? Whereas as a child, Joe was unable to understand the worth of one's originality and individuality. Besides, it is difficult for children to understand or explain unhappy endings. Thus we can say that the title is quite justified. The title is justified that the story revolves around the question of understanding. In the story, within a story, the daughter desires for an ending where the skunk is acceptable to his playmates. However, the father ended the story where the skunk's real self remained intact. The story is dealt with from several perspectives, the adult and the children. The title is an open question put to the reader to attempt an interrogation, analysis, and to give a verdict. The title involves curiosity in the reader and attaches importance to the judgment passed, as it would reflect the reader's understanding of systems. The author has deliberately left the title open-ended. So of course the title and the story itself is a very open-ended story. So it is the reader's judgment, that how the reader is going to judge, in which manner the reader is going to judge the story. In my next slide, I have provided you a glossary of some difficult words which is given in the story. You can see fatiguing, bumps, drawn, humiliation, tug, scraped, enormous, relapse, insisted, swamp, crick, clenched, scrunching, rummage, feigning, awful, chopped, stroking. So these are some of the difficult words given along with the meaning in this slide. So you can go through it, and while understanding the chapter, it will be coming very much helpful to you. Well, students, I hope that you have understood the slides, the theme, and the moral issues that has been raised in the story. We will be continuing with like this many more explanation, many more video lectures on this chapter. Okay, we will also be dealing with the question answers of the chapter, giving out the important lines from the chapter, which will be very much helpful for your exam. So students, please go through the slide, and if still there is any doubt, please clarify it from me in the classroom. Thank you all.